The 2011 Norway attacks were two sequential lone wolf terrorist attacks by Anders Behring Breivik against the government, the civilian population, and a workers' youth league-run summer camp in Norway on the 22nd of July 2011. The attacks claimed a total of 77 lives. The first attack was a car bomb explosion in Oslo within Regjeringskvartalet, the executive government quarter of Norway, at 152522. The bomb was made from a mixture of fertilizer and fuel oil and placed in the back of a van. The van was placed in front of the office block housing the office of Prime Minister Jens Stoltenberg and other government buildings. The explosion killed 8 people, and injured at least 209 people, 12 of them seriously. The second attack occurred less than 2 hours later at a summer camp on the island of Utøya in Tyrifjorden, Buskerud. The camp was organized by the youth division of the ruling Norwegian Labour Party. Breivik, dressed in a homemade police uniform and showing false identification, took a ferry to the island and opened fire at the participants, killing 68 of them outright, and injuring at least 110 people, 55 of them seriously. The 69th victim died in a hospital 2 days after the massacre. Among the dead were personal friends of Prime Minister Jens Stoltenberg and the stepbrother of Norway's Crown Princess Mette-Marit. It was the deadliest attack in Norway since World War II, and a survey found that 1 in 4 Norwegians knew someone affected by the attacks. The European Union, NATO and several countries around the world expressed their support for Norway and condemned the attacks. On 13 August 2012, Norway's Prime Minister received the Gov report which concluded that Norway's police could have prevented the bombing of central Oslo and caught the gunmen faster at Utøya, and that more security and emergency measures to prevent further attacks and mitigate adverse effects should have been implemented on the 22nd of July. The Norwegian police arrested Anders Behring Breivik, a 32-year-old Norwegian right-wing extremist, on Utøya Island and charged him with both attacks. The trial against him took place between the 16th of April and the 22nd of June 2012 in Oslo District Court, where Breivik admitted to having carried out the actions he was accused of, but denied criminal guilt and claimed the defense of necessity. On 24 August 2012, Breivik was convicted as charged and sentenced to 21 years of preventive detention in prison, at the expiration of which the sentence can be extended indefinitely, in 5-year increments at a time, as long as the prisoner is deemed a threat to society. Preparation for the attacks. Breivik claims to have begun the planning of terrorist acts in 2002, at the age of 23. He had participated for years in debates on internet forums and spoken against Islam and immigration. He was preparing for the attacks from at least as early as 2009, though he concealed his violent intentions. Failed attempt to buy weapons in Prague. Breivik spent 6 days in Prague in late August and early September 2010. He chose the Czech Republic because the country has some of the most relaxed laws regarding guns and drugs in Europe. Following his internet inquiry, Breivik noted that Prague is known for maybe being the most important transit site point for illicit drugs and weapons in Europe. Despite the fact that Prague has one of the lowest crime rates among European capitals, Breivik expressed reservations about his personal safety, writing that he believed Prague to be a dangerous place with many brutal and cynical criminals. He hollowed out the rear seats of his Hyundai Atos in order to have enough space for the firearms he hoped to buy. After 2 days, he got a prospectus for a mineral extraction business printed, which was supposed to give him an alibi in case someone suspected him of preparing a terrorist attack. He wanted to buy an AK-47 type rifle, a Glock pistol, hand grenades and a rocket-propelled grenade, stating that getting the latter two would be a bonus. Breivik had several fake police badges printed to wear with a police uniform, which he had acquired illegally on the internet, and which he later wore during the attack. Contrary to his expectations, he was unable to get any firearms in the Czech Republic, commenting that it was the first major setback in his operation. In the end, he concluded that Prague was far from an ideal city to buy guns, nothing like what the BBC reported, and that he had felt safer in Prague than in Oslo. The Czech disappointment led him to procure his weapons through legal channels. He decided to obtain a semi-automatic rifle and a Glock pistol legally in Norway, noting that he had a clean criminal record, hunting license, and 2 guns already for 7 years, and that obtaining the guns legally should therefore not be a problem. Upon returning to Norway, Breivik obtained a legal permit for a .223 caliber Ruger Mini 14 semi-automatic carbine, ostensibly for the purpose of hunting deer. He bought it in late 2010 for €1,400. He wanted to purchase a 7.62 x 39mm Ruger Mini 30 semi-automatic carbine, but did however for unknown reasons buy the Mini 14. Getting a permit for the pistol proved more difficult, as he had to demonstrate regular attendance at a sports shooting club. He also bought 10 30-round magazines for the rifle from a United States supplier, and 6 magazines for the pistol in Norway. From November 2010 to January 2011 he went through 15 training sessions at the Oslo Pistol Club, and by mid-January his application to purchase a Glock pistol was approved. Breivik claimed in his manifesto that he bought 300 grams of sodium nitrate from a Polish shop for €10 in December 2010, in order to make a bomb fuse. In March 2011, he legally bought 100 kilograms of chemicals from a small internet-based Rocklaw company. The Polish ABW interviewed the company owner on 24 July 2011. Breivik's Polish purchases initially led to his being placed on the watch list of the Norwegian intelligence, which did not act because they did not believe his actions were relevant to their terror concerns. He had also planned a last religious service before the attack. Breivik Geofarm on 18 May 2009. Bering Breivik created a sole proprietorship called Breivik Geofarm, a company established under a fictitious purpose. The real purpose was to gain access to chemicals and materials, especially fertilizer that could be used for the production of explosives without arousing suspicion. The place of business was given as AMOT in Hedmark. On 4 May 2011 Breivik purchased 6 tons of fertilizer through Geofarm at Felleskjøpet, 3 tons of ammonium nitrate and 3 tons of calcium ammonium nitrate. According to neighbors, all the fertilizer was stored in his barn. After conducting a reconstruction of the bomb with equivalent amount of fertilizer on the farm in AMOT, police and bomb experts concluded that the bomb had been 950 kilograms, about the same size as the one used in the 2002 Bali bombings. Afterwards there was significant debate in Norway about how an amateur could acquire such substantial amounts of fertilizer and in addition, manufacture and place such a lethal weapon in the middle of Regeringsvartalet all by himself. The conclusion by Felleskjøpet was that there is no legislation to keep agricultural businesses from buying as much fertilizer as they like, and that there was nothing suspicious about Breivik's purchase. This was confirmed by the director of the Norwegian Police Security Service, Jan Christiansen, who stated, "Not even the Stasi could have prevented this attack." The company listed at least 2 Swedish employees at the social networking site Facebook, but it is uncertain whether these people existed. In April 2011 he reported moving from Oslo to Valstue farm in the municipality of AMOT, about 9 kilometers south of the community centre Rena, on the east side of Glomma. His agricultural company was run from the farm, and gave him access to ingredients for explosives. His 950-kilogram car bomb exploded in central Oslo on the 22nd of July 2011, where it killed 8 people. He had between 1,000 and 1,500 kilograms additional material that was left on the farm and could be used for construction of a third bomb. Weapons training. Beside visiting firing ranges in countries with relaxed gun laws to sharpen his skill, Breivik's manifesto says that he made use of the video game Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 as a training aid while using World of Warcraft as a cover for his extended period of isolation. He also said that he honed his shooting skills using an in-game holographic sight similar to the one he used during the attacks. Oslo bombing. On the 22nd of July 2011 at 3:22 p.m. a bomb detonated in Regjeringskvartalet, central Oslo. The bomb was placed in a white Volkswagen Crafter and parked in front of the H block, housing the office of the Prime Minister, Ministry of Justice and the police, and several other governmental buildings, such as the Ministry of Petroleum and Energy, Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Education and Research and the Supreme Court of Norway. The crafter was registered by surveillance cameras as entering Grubbegata from Grensen at 3:23 p.m. The van stopped at 3:43 p.m., 200 meters before the H block. It stood still with the hazard warning lamps on for 1 minute and 54 seconds. The driver then drove the last 200 meters and parked the van in front of the main entrance of the main government building. The van was parked at 3:30 p.m. The front door of the van opened 16 seconds later, and after another 16 seconds the driver stepped out of the van. He stood outside the van for 7 seconds before he quickly walked away towards Hammersborg, where he had another car parked. A receptionist who was killed in the bombing tried calling the security guards about the suspicious van parked outside just before the blast. The driver was dressed like a police officer and had a gun in his hand. A police helmet with a face shield was covering his face. Breivik was not positively identified. The explosion started fires in the H block and R4, and the shockwave blew out the windows on all floors as well as in the VG house and other buildings on the other side of the square. The streets in the area were filled with glass and debris. A cloud of white smoke was reported as a fire continued to burn at the Department of Oil and Energy. The blast was heard at least 7 kilometers away. At 3:26 p.m. the police received the first message about the explosion, and at 3:28 p.m. the first police patrol reported that it had arrived at the scene. At the same time, news agency NTB was told that the Prime Minister was unhurt and safe. A witness called police at 3:34 p.m. to report a person in a police uniform holding a pistol in his hand, entering an unmarked vehicle. Information, including license plate number of the vehicle and description of the suspect, was written on a yellow note and hand-delivered to the Police Operations Central, where it lay for 20 minutes before the witness was phoned back. The license plate number was not transmitted on the police radio until 2 hours later. Following the explosion, police cleared the area and searched for any additional explosive devices. Through media outlets, police urged citizens to evacuate central Oslo. Police later announced that the bomb was composed of a mixture of fertilizer and fuel oil, similar to that used in the Oklahoma City bombing. The blast was caught on many security cameras. Impact on transportation. Immediately after the explosion, the area surrounding the damaged buildings was cordoned off and evacuated. People were asked to remain calm and leave the city center if possible, but there was no general evacuation. Buses also continued to run, although at least one articulated bus on the number 37 line, which stops outside the Ministry of Finance, was commandeered to evacuate the walking wounded. An email communication with the BBC from a traveller indicated that police were conducting searches in cars on the road to Oslo Airport, Gardermoen, which remained open. The Gardermoen line between Lillestrøm and Oslo Airport was shut down after a suspicious package was found close to the tracks. The same happened at the offices of TV2, which were evacuated after a suspicious package was found outside the building.